I have Martin Lemay here, Devolutions Chief Information Security Officer. Alongside with me is Sébastien Duquette, working with Martin on the operational side and application side of security here at Devolutions. So, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Again, the first time at Devolutions Central, right? Were you there last year?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think you were there last year. Yeah. Sorry about that. So what are we're gonna talk about security today. We're gonna talk about our security programs, overview of what's happening in terms of cybersecurity, information security, and how do we apply these principles here and we operationalize all those security.
Exactly. Basically, I'll start with the boring stuff, which is how we approach cybersecurity at Devolutions, and then I'll hand off to our guru, application development guru here. So basically, how there are multiple ways that we could have done it, but for the past years, what we ended up doing is basically a strategy based on the Jim Collins flywheel. At Devolutions, we love flywheels. So for those that are new to the concept, it's basically each component of the flywheel are basically strategic points, strategic actions that we're doing, and the outputs are entrance for the next step, right? And basically, if you're doing everything well, you get some velocity, at which point you get a momentum, where the action you're trying to achieve is basically running on itself. So here what we're doing at Devolutions is basically realizing our commitment to security, which is to provide the safest products on the market, being a leader in the security and in the security of connection softwares and password management softwares, and along with not denaturing our values, using our values as a way to perform things. So this strategy is basically enforced through what we call an ISMS, which is the Information Security Management System, which is our framework that is certified ISO 27000 and performed by security practices. So this is our capacities at Devolutions, and our security team are basically performing activities that outputs whether in one of those four categories that we have: the GovSec for governance, risk management, and compliance. We have the DevSec, application security, code development and code fix. We also have a red team in-house, so basically bringing in the bleeding edge expertise in offensive security. And we have the operational security team basically defending our infrastructure and make sure that our software, the integrity of our software is clean in and out. So this is the approach that we've selected at Devolutions that we're performing for several years now. And to give a bit more context on what this means for each step of our strategy, is basically the cyber security expertise is the way we're doing it is we enrich culture through proper change management. And here what we want to do is, not just bring the security expertise as an add-on to Devolutions, but it's deeply integrated in the culture. So this is the proper way to do it, and we make sure that we have the engagement of everyone in the business, and not just the security team on its side, just the police security on its side. We build strong offensive and defensive capabilities. Of course, our people are trained hard to make sure that our first line of defense is properly aware of type of threats. And we also have to train our security team with the latest, and bleeding edge certifications. And basically our team is accredited from the topmost in business in the world in terms of cybersecurity, including ISIS Square, ISACA, the Cloud Security Alliance, and name it. Also, one great thing we do with the cybersecurity expertise that we empower people at work and at home, which is really cool for our personnel, not only being engaged at making sure that the business does not get compromised, but also that for the security of their families and their people at home. We do on both sides. So the people, are more open to cybersecurity concepts, and it's a lot more effective to do it that way. On the risk and opportunity management side, we continually improve products and services with cybersecurity. So I think we have talked earlier about the security dashboard. I think it was Maxim.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of an example where the security team can sit with the development team, and how we can contribute to the products, because somehow we are also users of the products, right? So why not our expertise can contribute to that? So it's a great example of how opportunity here comes into play. We also secure the cloud infrastructure and the development lifecycle. We'll talk a bit more about that with Sébastien. And of course, defend and protect our people and the customer's interests. Here, what's nice is that we're really, user-centric and focused on human. We want to make sure that the interests of our customers, of course, that using our products, you can use our products safely, and make sure also that your data, for those using, lending us their data, making sure that they're protected adequately. And for the last two, active contribution, of course, we have code fix and feature development. Here it's nice because everyone's talking about vulnerabilities, and we know that all vulnerabilities are not equal. Some are have higher severity than others. What's nice at Devolution, since we have a security team in-house that can contribute to the solution, we can fix the problem even though it's not that much severe. So it allows us to fix not only high and critical vulnerabilities, but we can also fix those medium and low as well. So that's pretty cool to be able to do that in-house and not being overwhelmed by a lot of vulnerabilities that the development team cannot fix. We have also what we call the project activation and cross-functional problem solving here, mostly on IT, cloud. We have professionals that can work also any problems in the business, and we call these project activations where we can go through all business units and try to solve complex problems with our team. And of course, dog fooding and feedback. We just talked earlier where we are users of the product and we can give good feedback or even contribute to code. Finally, trust. Trust is something that must be active to my eyes. It's not something that is passive. So you have to work for trust, and trust is hard to build, easy to break. So basically, at Devolutions, our culture is it helps us, to promote that trust with what we'll call the WET. So the WOW, delivering above expectations. We're engaged with the community. We're doing the extra mile. If we have, for example, a phishing campaign, well, we'll do the extra mile, not only to protect our users, but also to report, the infrastructure, the malicious infrastructure to the relevant service providers. As a matter of experience, of course, we have competent professionals, which we can talk to them through our support channel or sales channels. You have and we care about customer satisfaction, and this is something that we want feedback from people that are engaged with us and make sure that we deliver the proper service level for them. And of course, transparency, which is a core must. We have, for example, open source code for our cryptographic library. We have compliance and also many other white papers that are published on our website at devolutions.net/security that are available for you to see what auditors think about us, and also what we some inner workings of some softwares and some designs that we publish on this website to make sure that the security concepts that you want to know are indeed secure. So this is basically how we approach a problem, and of course, all this good and beautiful strategy, how can it translate to actions? That's where I'm throwing the ball at you, Seb, and move on.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to talk about like a couple activities or things we do here. Instead of trying to cover everything and like rush through all we do, I selected a couple that I find
I've also added the link to the security page here at Devolutions with all the different compliance and standards we work with. You can also directly connect with the security team through all those pages. There's some easy way to ask questions to Martin or Sébastien on security challenges that you may have that we may share. But yeah, very interesting stuff in there.
Absolutely. So yeah, maybe the first thing we can start with is the NIST Secure Software Development Framework, SSDF. So that's the framework we're using for our SDLC. We can move to the next slide.
SDLC being
software development, like security software development lifecycle.
Uh-huh.
So the idea, what we like with this framework is it's looking at security through all the phases.
Mm-hmm.
So first, making sure the organization is prepared, that we have buy-in for like all these security activities, protecting the software as it is built. So using code repositories, protecting the artifacts, making sure the software goes through code review, security testing through the process, and at the end, if vulnerabilities make it in the software, that we address those reports and fix them. So we can move on to the next slide. So I was saying we do many different things in the process, and we're going to look at a couple that we adopted and that we have, I think we have good success with. Yep. And that maybe some of the viewers could be interested in.
Yeah, and what if members of the audience or customers want to share, have more information on rapid risk assessment? Can they just contact you so we can work with them?
Sure. It's easy to contact our team anytime. I guess any channel would work, but of course, through support would go well for current customers. Yeah. If you're not a customer of ours, you can go through the sales channel. It's pretty fast to reach one of our guys, or else you can reach us directly at security@devolutions.net.
There's a lot of good stuff in there, and we're going to cover some of them. But I know from working with you guys, these are all very, very challenging models and issues. And if I am an IT professional, I want to learn more about that stuff in a real life scenario. I would very highly suggest you guys connect with the team to see how we get these things done here and learn more about those best practices and activities here at Devolutions. It's very, very interesting, very leading edge.
Yeah, absolutely. The cybersecurity is still an open problem, meaning that there's no one-size-fits-all solution yet. But it reminds me of a discussion we had earlier. Is basically how can we play white at chess and not wait for things to happen? How can we go proactive about the problem? Uh-huh. And those kind of activities are definitely helping to achieve that kind of solution.
And we talked about, finding the right balance between security and productivity using our tools and solutions. And it's the same thing, the way you guys work here at Devolutions. So to put in place standards that are as secure as possible while being able to still be productive doing our work, right?
Exactly. And the kind of standard like, the NIST SSDF, which we base our activities on. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel, right? Uh-huh. So we take something strong and we just deploy it internally and try to evolve it with our own culture and everything. But basically, if you want more information about that, anytime we're available.
Sure. Excuse me, Seb. Go ahead.
We could go to the next one.
Jimmy Fallon thing. Who's that guy? Jimmy Fallon? Yeah, I'm Jimmy Fallon. I do whatever I want on the show. So
it's your show, Max.
We're used to it.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is rapid risk assessments. So this is an interesting document that was created by. I saw a presentation from someone at Mozilla that they were using this process, and we thought it was quite interesting. Basically, it's a document that's meant to be you are able to fill it in like 30 minutes. It's very quick. You do it with someone from the development team of the project. And so we do that for all our services, all our products. We go through what's the purpose of the service, how is it built, what data does it process, and also what are threat scenarios, what would be the likely way someone would try to attack the system. So that's a very good first
so
overview.
You do that with every new features, products, releases?
So not the features themselves, but all the services, because we talked a lot about all the main products like RDM and DBLS, but there's also a lot of smaller systems infrastructure behind the scenes.
Got it.
So we cover all those.
Although some major features could trigger an update, if there's something really major that would change the threat modeling, for instance, or add new threats, it would be basically reviewed.
Yeah, we do a review annually, so that would influence the content.
Got it.
And so one thing we did change we did to the rapid risk assessment is it ties into our vendor management process. So we also track what external services we're using with this service, what data is sent to those services. So that's also helpful to have a good overview of what's going on internally. Supply chain security, that's been a big topic in the past 2 years, especially with cases like SolarWinds and those IN cases that were.
I don't know if you could get a poll on if people were actually for SolarWinds, Kaseya, if they were impacted by those cybersecurity breach,
by those events. So what we did is we did a kind of an overview or a review of our systems, of the way we're working, and we came up with an action plan for 7 or 8 things we wanted to put in place. And one of those, we can go to the next slide. So one thing we put in place is something called software bill of materials. So the basic idea of it is, for all our releases, we generate a list of all the third-party dependencies that we're using and their specific version. So we generate that. That's generated as an XML or JSON document. And then we also have a system that's also open source system. That's an OWASP project, dependency track. So we generate those and upload them in dependency track. So we have a database of all our project, our dependencies. And a really neat thing about dependency track is it also pulls vulnerability databases, advisories from system like GitHub advisories, the NVD. And so it let us know, okay, there's a known vulnerability in one of the components that we're using that we need to update.
But just something I want to add about the software bill of materials, it's something that's really pushed forward by the United States government through the executive order, by the one that was signed by Biden, I think it was 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the primary, items was, to be able to show the SBOM to a customer on demand.
Yeah. So with this executive order on cybersecurity, it's not a requirement for federal agencies of the U.S. government. For all their contracting, they need to have this software bill of material available for the software they're using. And something we can show is for Remote Desktop Manager. This is now available on our website for any version of the software, and we're working on bringing this for our other software too. That should be available soon. The next thing is the OWASP ASVS, so Application Security Verification Standard. That's something we're using to do reviews of our systems. It covers most of all of the important categories of security for software. And what we used to do is there are something like 280 checks in the standard. That's a lot. It's divided in 3 levels. So the first level is there. It has fewer checks, maybe something like 70, but still we used to do all this review and then write a report that we would give to the development teams and provide them with high level recommendations. But the teams often we're like, okay, what should we start with? Like,
what do we do with the report?
What? Yeah, how do we move forward with that? So what we did is we came up with another list, which is a subset that are the requirements that we want to enforce. That those are the really important things that have bitten us in the past, where we had like issues, and we really want to make sure those things are put in place. So we provide this report too. We still do the full ASBS analysis, but this is something I think we will benefit a lot from using.
Sure.
The idea here is to limit as much as possible to let high vulnerabilities go to production. Doing this kind of activities will limit a lot of the bad stuff going to production, and we've selected those that were most at risk of going through.
And it's going to be like it's going to evolve through time. So we started with a set of things, but things we'll probably add checks as we go forward, or things that are in some tiers. We have I didn't talk about this yet, but we also have like a tiering system internally for our systems. Things that are more critical are on the first tier. So we might bring checks that are applied only for the first tier or the second one,
And rest assured, all our products and services are considered critical. No worry about that.
Yeah, being very transparent. And I see your next slide. I don't know if you want to switch to that one, but regarding transparency and how we communicate with security issues with our users, if you want to.
Yeah. So like I said, when we have like vulnerabilities that either we discover internally or are reported to us, once they're fixed, we put out a security advisory that describes what the general vulnerability was and which component, what's the severity of it. We provide sometimes mitigations if it's possible to avoid the security issue while you're upgrading. That's also something we provide. And we're also, if we go on the next slide, we are a CNA, which it's basically the CVEs are the generic IDs. It's a general database of all the vulnerabilities, and we are registered so that we can submit vulnerabilities like CVEs, create CVEs for our own products. So we also do this process. So all the vulnerabilities have their IDs, so it's easy to reference them and make sure that if you want to check, okay, are we protected against this vulnerability, then you can check in the advisory and see which version of the software.
The whole idea, and the whole idea of that was to being more transparent. We have vulnerabilities, we fix them, and we display them. We get an ID, and being a CNA allows us to streamline that process and make sure that the disclosure of the CVE is only performed once it's fixed, so we don't expose our users to those vulnerabilities. And also we kind of handcuffs ourselves, right, with that process, because the CNA program is managed by MITRE. I don't know if in English we say MITRE or MITRE. So this process is managed by them. So if we're not due diligent in the disclosure process, we might lose that authorization to be a CNA. So it's a perfect example too of being transparent at Devolutions.
And people can actually subscribe to those security advisories from the page I sent earlier, the link that you have on the chat. You can just enter your email and get updates on new security advisories that might come up in the future.
And last slide. So regarding testing, as Martin mentioned, we do testing internally of our systems on a regular basis. We also, we had traditional pen tests against our systems from external companies. But moving forward, what we're going to try is to have a continuous bug bounty program through YesWeHack. The idea is we have a pool of testers. We tell them, hey, here's our system. There are bounty available, and then they try to get in, and when they find stuff, they get rewarded for it. So our hope with this is, with the traditional test, the they're done at, let's say, once a year, so at a specific point in time. And if vulnerability is introduced, the cycle, the time between when this is introduced and when it's discovered can be quite long. So through continuous testing, we're hoping to bridge or reduce that gap as much as possible.
Can anyone subscribe to Yes We Hack?
So Yes We Hack is a public program. Anyone can register. However, we are going to start with a private bug bounty. So it's a pool of testers that are already registered that are going to work through our program. But
it's still going to be crowdsourced. And what you told just earlier about, it's a picture in time. When you do a traditional pen test, you have a picture in time. It's basically best effort. It depends on the environment, attack vectors at that time. It depends on also the quality of testers, the time they had to engage a products or service. With crowdsourcing, you basically have the public as the pool of testers, so you can get the talent, and in a private engagement, you got the top talent, right? These platforms are there too. So at first, engaging a private program, we get all the talent we need to make sure that we're ready to go with a public program and make sure that this continuous testing gets along with high quality for you, and make sure our products are vulnerability free. Can I say that?
Is it like bug free or? No, I'm kidding. Thanks. So any other slides or pointers you wanted to showcase, guys? I mean, I think it was a very good overview on what's happening behind the scene in terms of security. It's always interesting to meet with you guys. Again, I speak with you like every week, and it's always very interesting. So I invite people to connect with you, security@devolutions.net. Check out the security page and compliance page on the Devolutions website. So yeah, thanks for joining us again today, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max.
Yeah.